Hi everyone, and welcome to this lecture on why fad diets don't work. So first we need to describe what a fad diet is. A fad diet is the latest popular diet. In reality, dieting mania is a social problem we have nowadays. We keep on trying to focus on specifically, especially from what we see in social media, about what we think body type should be like. And the problem with fad diets is they make you follow a monotonous diet and your daily intake is very closely monitored. In reality, this leads to a lot of diet restrictions, leads to a lot of monotony in what you eat. In reality, the USDA does not recommend you follow one of these diets. Instead, the key and clear winner for making sure you have a good diet is eating well and getting exercise. They're much longer and more effective in the long run, and they're easier to follow. So what are some ways that we can recognize an unreliable diet? If it promotes quick weight loss, if it limits your food selection, uses testimonials from rich people, celebrities, or puts a location down like South Beach diet, Miami diet, all these sort of things. If it's a cure-all, so going back to the idea we had for pseudoscience before, it's gonna help everyone no matter what your situation is. If you have a disorder, etc., it's gonna work for you. If it recommends expensive supplements, aka trying to take your money, if it advocates not making a permanent lifestyle change, oh, do this diet for a month to get ready for wearing a swimsuit season, and if it's critical or skeptical of the scientific community, these are all signs of an unreliable diet and possibly a fad diet. Here's the thing to keep in mind when we think about fad diets. The diet fails the dieter. It's not you that's failed, it's the diets that's failed. The diet itself doesn't work. When it makes you do monotony, when it restricts too much certain food groups or things you enjoy, it's never going to work. It's not going to work in the long run. So what happens instead? People revert to their old habits, and it results instead in yo-yo dieting. So what do popular diets look like? So when we think about the popular diets or the fad diets, what we're talking about are these four basic categories. No matter what diet you show me that's a fad diet, it will fit into one of these. So it's the same we find in our book. There's the moderate calorie restriction, something that's going to make you take in low amounts of calories per day. You have carbohydrate focus. This is a big one that's been around for 30 years. It started off as the Atkins diet. Now they call them like the no carb or the low carb diet and all these ideas. It's all about restricting carbohydrates, low fat, which is the flip side of carbohydrates a lot of times. And then finally we get into our novelty diets, the 17-hour diets, 17-day diets, 3-hour diets. You can see on the bottom right-hand side here a picture of what these books are sold as, and they're all underneath novelty diets. None of these work, all right? None of these work. These have all been used over and over again for more than 100 years. They were circulated, they changed the names. So for example, in the 1940s, they called it the rice diet. Now they call it the Beverly Hills diet. They always use the approach that somehow you need to detox your body. That's not true. Your body takes care of itself. That's why you have a liver. That's why you have kidneys. That's why you have a spleen. Your body is detoxing itself all the time. Nothing gets stuck in your colon. They're all using this as methods to try to convince you you need to follow this diet because they're going to get paid. They're going to get paid because you're going to take a supplement, because you're following a certain diet restriction, or you're buying a book. In reality, what we need to do is go to reliable sources to find information to say, is this a fad diet or not? This is in esteemed and peer-reviewed journals, such as the Journal of American Dietetic Association, New England Journal of Medicine, things you find on PubMed.gov. So here's a couple quick case studies for you as far as novelty or fad diets go. One of them is the very low calorie liquid diet. This is all your juicing diets, okay? They change the names all the time, but it's a juicing diet. They're not new. They've been around for tens of years at this point, and they're going to ask you to reduce nutrient intake. But when you reduce that nutrient intake, it also leads to deficiency and disease states. You need the fibers and you need the different things that are inside the calories of the juices and the foods you consume. You lose a lot of that when you do the juicing diets. In addition, it bypasses the recommendation is not losing more than 1 to 2 pounds per week. These sort of diets are typically done with people that have disorders that make them automatically limit what they intake. For example, phenylketonuria, and they should only be done under consultation with a physician. It's not something the general public should be doing. The next one is the paleo diet. So the paleo diet, you might call it a little bit something different, but you know what I'm talking about. It's really a paleo fantasy. It's not new. It's based off of the Stone Age diet that was in the 1970s. It's been around, and there's a really good blog post. It's a TED Talk, a TED Talk you can watch, which is listed below as far as one of the links. I recommend you check it out if you're interested in doing this diet. It will talk to you about how the paleo diet is a fad diet. It's a novelty diet. It does not work, and it's not doing what you think it is. And this cartoon, I've always really enjoyed this when I think about the paleo diet. We see here two cavemen sitting around, and one of them says to the other, something's not right. Our air is clean, our water is pure, we all get plenty of exercise, everything we eat is organic and free, range, and yet nobody lives past the age of 30. So it's dealing with this idea again. We're trying to call back and trying to say like the good old days, that those things don't exist, all right? Instead, what we need to focus on is accuracy of the diet and whether or not it's not an novelty diet and it's a diet that actually works. So when we gauge accuracy, the first thing we have to do is say, does it fit the criteria of a fad? Is it a novelty? Is it named after somebody? Is it something they're trying to say is new, late-breaking science breakthrough, space age? Doctors will hate this sort of idea thing. If you're unsure, if it meets those things, what reliable websites can we use to assess accuracy? These are them, all right? You want to go to things like FDA, PubMed.gov, CDC, Quackwatch. Kids Health is really great too. It's underneath teens. You can look up fad diets. And then from going to these sources, we can classify the type of diet or the supplement type and then say, oh yeah, this is actually a novelty diet. This has nothing to do with actual good nutrition. With diet design, when we think about diet design itself, we have to keep in perspective weight. This is something fad diets try to do quickly, but not actually think about overall. We need to aim for personal healthy weight, avoid unrealistic goals, listen to our body's cues for hunger. A lot of times on fad diets, you will be hungry. And that's not a good thing. It makes you stop exercising, for example, because you lose energy because you're so hungry. It's focusing instead on eating a healthy diet, maintaining physical activity. A lot of fad diets overlook the requirement of exercise. And in fact, in any good diet, any reliable diet, exercise, sociability is an aspect of those diets. Size acceptance is also important. It has to be conducted in terms of health, not by mathematical calculation. So why do fad diets not work? Well, first of all, obesity is a chronic disease. Treatment requires long-term lifestyle changes, not a quick fix. So all these ideas, as far as, we're going to do a quick fix, 1 month, you're going to be ready for the beach or whatever, that's a fad diet. It's not thinking about long-term changes to what you're doing. If you lose 10 pounds in a week, it's not that you're losing 10 pounds of fat. A lot of times when you have those diets that lose a lot of weight in a short period of time, what you're actually only losing is water weight and, in fact, protein and muscle mass because of the way they make you change what you're eating. You're not getting enough amino acids. You lose muscle. You lose water. So the second you go off the diet, you gain that weight right back, and you've still lost that muscle mass, so instead you also gain back more fat. Dieters themselves are misdirected when we think about fad diets. They're more concerned about weight loss than healthy lifestyle. They may have unrealistic weight expectations, and they think diet is defined as something short-term to lose weight. A diet is not something short-term. The diet is a thing we follow every single day. Right now you have a diet. Whatever you're consuming, if it's a westernized diet, Mediterranean-style diet, pescatarian diet, whatever diet you're following long-term, that is your diet. Okay, it's not something short-term. So what should we be looking for then in a sound weight loss program? First of all, talking to an RD, or registered dietitian, is a great idea. A lot of places have these available. You want to control calorie intake when you're thinking about a weight loss program. You should not be losing more than 100 kilocalories per day off of your recommended dietary intake. You want to increase physical activity instead, so you take a little bit less calories in, increase the overall amount of exercise you do. Acknowledge that it's a lifelong process. It takes time to make these changes. Slow and steady wins the race when it comes to this. And keep in mind, small changes can be drastic for weight change. So for example, over 20 years, adults gain on average 20 pounds. That's because the food you eat impacts along with physical activities you do as you get older. So if you continue to do your physical activity, watch what you eat, it can actually help you. So for example, increase in French fries causes an increase of 3.4 pounds over 4 years. French fries, these sort of things, these processed foods, they can be bad for you in large quantities or continuous quantities over time. Instead, moderation is key. Instead, we need to focus on things like greater intake of fruits, vegetables, yogurt, whole grains, nuts. That's what you should be focusing on. And if you see the picture on your right, the weight loss triad is important. Control behavior problems. Watch out for those processed foods. Control your calorie intake, and then regular physical activity will get you where you need to go. It all fits into this idea. The idea is basically you have a circle. So you become aware of the problem, I want to lose weight, but then it's about making a framework, gathering information, setting goals, and making a plan and putting that plan in practice. That's important. Now with fad diets, the problem is a fad diet will continue to take you around and around in a circle. The fad diet itself takes you from this place and then keeps you going around and around and around and around and around. But the idea with a good diet is you get success with change and it becomes a new status quo. You learn a new way of being part of your diet, understanding the changes that had to be made, and that will help you make a lifestyle change. Fad diets don't do that. But qualified, realistic expectations, eating healthy food along with physical activity, and decreasing slightly the amount of calorie intake will make you meet your goals. So that's really it for this chapter. I hope you found this interesting and important. We'll discuss more information on diets as we go forward in the course. Thanks for your time.